hope that if I am putting myself through the process of working out without music, that you're doing this workout. Today marks day 1 of our home series. So you and I are going to be training at home and trying to get the best results all at the comfort of our home. Obviously, on the previous video, I showed you what this gym looks like and everything in this gym. So now let's just join the fun. So today's a leg day, but as you may know, is a full body day. I'm always training my core. Get ready. Today's workout is going to be minimal equipment. All you're gonna need is just some dumbbells. We're gonna follow progressive overload. I want you to follow along, and we're gonna start with a very simple warm up. This is it. We're starting today. Let's get it. Everything that we're gonna be doing is 1 set, and we're gonna start with our necks. So let's start releasing the body. I'm gonna be facing the wall because this is what I usually do. So just follow along. Take a nice deep breath in, and we're doing 8 circles, big circles. So all we're doing here is just prepping the body, loosening up every single muscle that we'll be utilizing for this workout. I'm actually doing one of the plans that I started last year with a community called Sculpt. And basically, this particular program follows a 3-day-a-week strength training approach, 2 days a week of mobility. And I am going to be adding my cardio 2 to 3 times in a zone 2, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. All right, let's see what we have next. We have neck rotations. So we're going to be looking side to side for 8 times. So a lot of us have all these restrictions that are coming from either ligaments, tendons not being very mobile, muscles not being very mobile. So all we're doing is adding mobility or starting to do movements that are going to increase the mobility of our entire body. For those who sit at home in front of a computer and you're loosening, you have a lot of tension on your upper body, your neck, this is going to be key. All right, what's next? We have shoulder circles forward and back. All we're doing is rotating and increasing the mobility of our shoulder girdle. Make those circles nice and big. And reverse it. We're gonna follow through with shoulder rotations. So with this movement, all I'm doing is reaching and keeping that reach as I try to make big circles. And I'm bringing my vision where my hands are going so that I get some rotation on my spine. And everything we do with one side of the body, we'll do with the other side. Hip circles. Okay, you have some hip circles. Let me just face. Think about having a hula hoop. And all you're doing is circles. We're hinging forward, feeling that stretch on the hamstrings. Let's do a couple of more, and then we will reverse to the other side. And reverse it. Okay, now we're gonna do wrist circles. Bring it around, reverse the movement. Okay, bring your legs together. We are going to do knee circles. Make sure that your feet are planted the entire time as you drive the knees forward and back. All you're doing is making these big circles. This is the start of us having really good knees, okay? And mobile knees. If you hear cracking on the knees, this is just synovial fluid, nothing to worry about. Let's move to the ankles, 8 rotations, and bring them back. Okay. Last but not least, we're only doing one set. We're going to be opening up the hips and getting our core temperature a little warmer. So make a 90-degree angle with both of your legs, right? So from hip to knee to ankle. And all we're doing is taking a nice deep breath and supporting with our hands. We're going to end on the other side. And we're just flossing the hips. This is called a shin box. And there's many ways that you can progress it. If this is too hard for you, or too easy, excuse me, let's bring the forearms towards the shins. And you can progress it in this way. 3 more. You can also progress it by extending the arm and going deeper. 2 more. Stretch out the glute. And we're gonna get into our plank position and go from down dog back to plank. Keep those arms nice and straight, pushing away from the floor with the heels of the palms. As you drop the heels towards the floor, you will feel a nice stretch on the calves, on the hamstrings. We have 8 repetitions, and you should be feeling warm now, nice and easy. Couple more reps before we start this workout. And the last one. Get ready. All right, so today's a leg day. And basically the workout is introducing not only strength, but a lot of the movements that you are going to see, they're going to be promoting mobility, strength, proprioception, and balance. We're gonna start with the first set, which has 2 movements. One is a bodyweight squat that has an ISO hold component in it for tendon health. And another one is promoting all the compression that we need to have a really strong core. So we are going to be performing 3 sets with these 2 movements back to back, all right? So I'm elevating my heels. You can do this super simple without a squat wedgie at home, just by elevating your heels with some books, okay? So take a nice deep breath in. We're going to be doing 10 really slow and controlled reps. Deep breath in, hold that breath, core tight. Find your deepest squat and stand right back up. This is my 9th rep, and on the 10th, I'm going to find that deep squat and hold for 20 seconds. That lactic acid burn that you're feeling, we want that, especially if you're working with your body weight. If you don't have any equipment at home, this program is specifically for beginners, but you can bring in the progressive overload. In 3, 2, 1. Let's move on to the next exercise. So if you're lacking some mobility and endurance, there's different ways to modify this movement. So we want to get as compressed as possible and bring the elbows to the knees. And in this position, we want to alternate our hip extension. If you're unable to do this, just bring the hands forward and alternate in that fashion. Make sure that your low back is on the floor. And over time, we're going to keep these movements. And over time, you are going to be building mobility. This is going to be hard in the beginning, but it gets easier and easier and easier. Okay. So for the next block, we have 3 different exercises, and they're all promoting strength, tendon health, and mobility, and core strength. So we're gonna start with a reverse lunge. We're gonna be alternating and doing ISO hold right at the end of those reps. We have 10 reps with 20-second holds, just like we did for the squat. And then we're gonna follow that with a hip extension march, and then we're going to end with a bent banana march. So a lot of these movements are going to promote not only muscular endurance, but they're going to be able to open you up and give you that mobility that you have been lacking to move freely. So let's move on to the lunge. There's a lot of you who have said that you have a hard time doing lunges. So as we're performing this reverse lunge, if you want to grab onto a pole or to a very stable surface, you can do that. And what that's going to help you do is just eliminate some of the load that you're carrying, right? And make the movement a lot easier. But for those who do not have this issue, we're just going to be performing our lunges without holding on to anything or modifying the movement. Ten repetitions. And we're gonna be holding for 20 seconds. Tuck the hips under. You're gonna feel a nice little pull here. Be really strong for 20 seconds here. I'm putting most of my weight in front of this leg, all right? Or putting most of my weight in the leg that is in front of me. Let's alternate. Last one, and hold. Tuck the hips under, find your heel, put most of the weight in front of this leg. See if you can be a little bit more vertical, and hold. This is the hardest part of the work. You got this. Beautiful. Now we're gonna teach our bodies or our core how to alternate and be really strong while it's marching. So being really stable and having a lot of balance is going to come from having a really strong core. So tucking the hips under and going into a bridge, you can either not support yourself or support yourself. We're gonna start taking off one foot off the ground, putting it down, and alternating while the core remain strong and stable, okay? Now I want you to connect to your body. What does this feel like? You can actually feel how the obliques are switching from one side to the other side, okay? Stay really strong here. Tuck those hips under, find your glutes. Not being supported, of course, is a ton or adds a lot more difficulty because you're not supporting yourself. So now the only support that you have is your obliques and your core to stabilize this movement. Last set. Okay. So let's move on to the next movement. Grab a light band, loop band. This is the lightest latex band that I have. And all we're doing here is getting in this compressed position, which a lot of gymnasts do. We're going to extend our arms, extend our legs, and march. If this is too difficult for you, bring the arms right in front of you. Well, let me just teach you something today. So if this is our axis of rotation, when the limbs, whether are the arms or the legs, move away from us, this lever that's holding all this weight and this resistance, it's going to have to be turned on more. So it's more difficult to have your limbs extended out from the axis of rotation. But the closer they get, the easier the movement is going to be, okay? Be really strong. If you feel like your back, if you cannot maintain this position, it's all a matter of endurance and how much all these little muscles that stabilize the core can hold and endure this position. So you would think the more you do these, the easier it's going to get. So never get demotivated by the things that your body is not able to do in the beginning, okay? Because it's a matter of you building strength, endurance, and or mobility necessary to perform that task. And you will get strong. You will be able to do all these different movements, and you will be able to build the right mobility, but by doing the work, all right? Let's move on to the next block. You will be doing this 2 other times, okay? Everything that we'll be doing today, you'll perform it 3 times. So for this block of exercises, we have 3 different movements. And again, we have a primary movement that is going to be targeting strength. And then we have core movements and we have mobility movements. So we're gonna start with a couch or bench buck, primarily working the posterior chain, but also integrating the core. So all of the other movements that we have done, we should have this feeling of compression that we are going to find that feeling when we are in this position. And then we're gonna move on to a wall mountain climber, okay? And then we are going to be doing a supported heel raise. And that's it. Let's get it. So let's just set this up. I would say this is the start of you learning how to bridge properly, okay? So bilaterally, meaning with 2 feet, we can do this movement. Or if you want to take one off, or you can do that later, you can do this and do it single leg. So putting both of our heels onto the bench, we are going to remain tucked under the entire time. And all we're doing is smashing the heels towards the bench and coming right back down. But I'm just not dropping my butt. As you can see, when I drop my butt first, my diaphragm is going to stick out, and now I'm no longer engaged properly with my core. So I'm going to bring the rib cage down. I am going to bridge up, and the first thing that hits the floor is my entire upper body, right? Not just my glutes. And I'm gonna repeat. You're gonna find a lot of hamstrings here. Smash the heels down. That should initiate the lift and come back down. Ooh. Beautiful. And let's move to the next exercise. Let me just get the bench. You're gonna need a wall for this, but because I have this rack, it's going to simulate my wall for me. And what I wanna do here is make this about the core, but also make this about the mobility aspect that I can get from this exercise. All right? Pick a wall. This is going to be my wall. Bring your hands or your arms right in front of it. I want you to step back and think about one long line from your wrist all the way to the ankles. And from here, all we're doing is doing a mountain climber. So we are raising our knee towards our chest and alternating. What do you feel here? Can you find that compression feeling that we had when we were on the floor with this movement? Can you now focus on your heels, getting that nice stretch as you alternate? Beautiful. Last but not least, we have a wall-supported heel raise from the floor. So I am going to simulate this or make it believe that this is my wall. I'm going to support myself, and all we're doing is a heel raise. You can do this bilaterally with both feet, or like on the program, you can do it single leg. Alternate. Beautiful. You will be performing 2 more sets with all the exercises being back to back, all right? With little to no rest in between. Drink your water if you need to. We're gonna move to the last exercise before we start doing our zone 2 cardio on the bike. Last but not least, we're going to be adding an element of mobility, and I would say active mobility, with one exercise that you see me doing often, which is a down dog. So I'm going to get in the position of a plank and having really nice and strong arms. I'm going to get in this plank, I'm gonna tug under, remember this, very important, and I'm gonna drive towards, like my glutes towards the ceiling, right? I am going to press away from the floor, right? And I'm going to bring my heels down. Most of you, just like me, won't have your heels on the floor. This is the mobility portion of it. So now, let just gravity do what it needs to do. In the beginning, you're going to be concerned, or not even concerned, thinking about the lactic acid that's building on your arms, how much you have to hold this position, right? But now, for me, because this is a resting position over time, it's gonna become your resting position, all I'm thinking about is, how are my hamstring lengthening? We did all these couch bucks, and I wanna release my hamstrings. So this is more of a mobility movement for me than it is a strength movement. But in the beginning, every beginner is going to definitely feel this move, and holding it for 1 minute, you're going to be only doing 1 set of a minute, all right? Keep holding until you get to the minute. Beautiful. Shake your arms. That's it. So this is what day 1 lower body looks like. I not only train the lower body, I make sure that my core is strong to support the major movements that I'm doing for strength. I'm also making sure that I'm adding mobility, and then I'm integrating all these little traits that are needed for good movement, because it's not only about getting strong. You want to get strong, but you also do not want to be in pain. So this is what training smart looks like. Now, let's move on to the second portion of the workout. This should be taking you anywhere from 25 to 28 minutes. And then all we're doing is adding 20 minutes on the bike on zone 2. That's all we're doing. You know that you have to do your strength training, but you also have to do your cardiovascular training. And a lot of us have this idea that we have to be doing the most, going up to a 10, zone 10 that doesn't even exist, in order to obtain all these results. And zone 2 is a cardiovascular training zone that anyone can do. And not only for recovery, but also for fat loss. So think about the idea of getting your strength training, and you see this a lot in gyms, and we want to call it a bodybuilding style, where you'll have your lift and then you go and do your cardio after. This only means that you are utilizing the fuel, the glycogen storage that is in those muscles to really get the most of your lift. And then after those glycogen storages are all utilized, we hop on a machine, whether it's a treadmill or a bike, in order to get us in a zone for fat loss. And in this zone, whether it's for fat loss and whether it's for recovery, you have a lot of benefits from it. And one of them is that you're not exerting your body to the point of muscle breakdown. No. And one of those benefits is that you're not overexerting yourself to the point that the next day is going to be so painful. So zone 2 is a great zone for beginners. It's a great zone for recovery. It's a great zone, if you are actively lifting, whether it's 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, and you can be in the zone every single session for 20 minutes and get a lot of results, whether it's fat loss and or recovery. So obviously, I am just adding 20 minutes after my session for fat loss. But say you had a really hard session and you are so sore, the next day is counterintuitive to think that you're going to move in order to feel better. But this is a zone in which you can train it the next day, 20 to 30 minutes, increasing blood flow, and you are actually going to increase your recovery because now you're sending all these nutrients to the tissue that has been hammered with those weights. And not only you're increasing the blood flow, sending all these nutrients for recovery, getting the waste out of the muscle or the tissue and feeling better. And you are going to feel so much better. You don't have to be doing anything too strenuous, anything too crazy. The hope is that we get you strong, mobile, that we are increasing your endurance, and that we're doing it at a pace that you can sustain, okay? One of the reasons why I love and I've been having so much fun in using this bike is all the coaching I can get, literally. So I am just going to pick my beginner workout. This happens to be right in the zone that I needed. It's a beginner workout. I should be able to have a conversation, and I'm literally in the middle of a beautiful scenery. I'm gonna skip the warm up because I don't need a warm up. I've been already warmed up. And this is it. Where am I today? I am in French Polynesia. So today's Zone 2 bike is going to be in this beautiful scenery with my coach, and I'm just going to be just pedaling and having fun. Honestly, such a beautiful equipment. Everything is so smooth. It's really interactive. You really feel like the curriculum that's being programmed, that you're right in there with the coaches. The bike is super smart. It makes the workouts really simple and enjoyable. I think this is, in the past 60 days, more or less, since I've been running and cross-training, this has been a really fun experience. I haven't missed one day, whether the weather has been really awful or not. I've been so consistent. And honestly, this has been incredible. An incredible experience, from the product to the workouts, through the coaching. I've really, 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 really enjoyed it. So this is year 2, okay? Has it been? No, 3 years. 3 years since using NordicTrack. And honestly, it's been great. So I want to thank NordicTrack and iFit for sponsoring this video, for getting me these machines, for being really patient to want me to just truly involve myself in everything and try the machines so that I can speak highly on the product. If you know me, I don't endorse anything I don't believe in. And this has been an incredible experience. And I'm keeping this equipment. I'm keeping it. I don't know if you saw my bike increasing in the incline. And actually, it has the decline. So this machine is really cool because it has this smart adjust. So depending on the terrain, it would actually simulate the workout that you're doing, and it'll go up and down. Even on a decline, it'll feel like you're going on a decline. This is so cool. It makes everything so much fun. So we've gotten all the cues that we need for our training. Any questions about Zone 2 training, any questions about the workout, any questions about the equipment and the format of the workout, please put them on the description below the video. Make sure that you're subscribed, make sure that you hit the bell button, and I will see you on another video. Let's get it, team.